Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Office of the State Controller's Quick Vids training series. These videos are designed to help state agencies record and verify various accounting requirements within RSTARS based on guidance from the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. I will be walking you through the SBITA fact pattern for the example transactions that we'll be posting into RSTARS. Based on the T-value amortization schedule generated, as seen below, we have a present value of minimum future SBITA payments in the amount of $1,140,485.57. The total annual SBITA payments for fiscal year 25 are $140,000, which is split between principal and interest. The interest is $21,927.85, while the principal is $118,072.15. This principal balance is the amount used for the payment entry shown here. It's worth noting that we opted to show the entries related to these amounts that should be seen as of year-end, rather than each individual monthly payment, but the end result will remain the same. In the next few videos, we will walk you through the journal entries and how to enter them into RSTARS.
I will be making a needed journal entry to reduce the SBITA liability in the government-wide reporting fund. I've already mapped out my entries with the document numbers, T-codes, and accounting elements that I will need to use. This information is shown at the right of this screen. Make sure first that you're logged into RSTARS under the correct user class to make the entry. RSTARS always defaults to your lowest user class when you sign on. So I need to switch from 2 to 27 because I will be using user class 27 to make a JV document entry. Once I've logged onto RSTARS, navigate to the 500 screen to enter your batch header. On the 500 screen, enter your batch agency. I'm agency 107. You can enter a batch date or leave this blank. I'll just leave it blank. Enter your batch type. Mine is 4 for this entry. And then enter a batch number just following your agency's protocols for batch numbering. You can enter a batch count and a batch amount, or you can choose to leave these fields blank. My batch amount is $118,072.15. Batch edit mode is set to 2. I'm going to leave it there. And then you can enter an effective date down here, or you can also leave this field blank and allow it to default. At this point, I will press F10 to save my header and to enter the batch entry screen. My JV entry will reduce the SBITA liability by the principal payment that we made at year end. First, I'm just going to confirm that my effective date is correct for the fiscal month I want my transaction to post, and it is. Then I will enter my document number. So it is JV 040125-001 for this transaction. You can enter a reference stock if you have one, or leave it blank. And then enter your transaction code. I'm using 459. And then enter your PCA, 99907. And then enter your agency object. I'm entering 008. I need to enter my amount, which is $118,072.15, and my document amount, which is the same for this entry. So I'll just copy and paste. Need to enter a description to reduce the SBITA liability by the principal payment. I'm going to put that on this line. And then this T code has one of its GLs open, and so it requires that we enter a GL. So I will enter 1728 for subscription-based IT obligations. And then at this point, I can press F4 to bring in any lookup fields and to see if I have any errors. I do have an error. So the screen shows what the error is down at the bottom with an error code. By pressing on the error and moving my cursor there, I can press F1. And the system will automatically explain to me what the error is. So it says that my agency object is not in the D11 profile. So I need to select my agency object and see if it's correct or why it's not there. I'm going to press F9 to go back to my batch. And I can see that it says 7008 and my agency object is not found. This was red before we looked at it, and so it just shows me this is the field that is wrong. I can look over at my entry and notice that I didn't write it right. It should be 7009, not 7008. So I know what my problem is and I can just change that. But if I were not to know what the problem was, I can use the system to look up what the agency object should be by moving again my cursor over to the agency object and then pressing F1 using the help function to look up what my agency object should be. There's a whole bunch of choices, but I know maybe that my agency object does start with a 7, and I'm also pretty sure that there's 2 zeros. So I could press enter and I could look at what is in the 700, just to kind of narrow down what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the principal payment for the subscription IT asset, and that is right here. So I know that what was wrong was I had an 8 instead of a 9. I can put an S on this line, and then the system will select this and replace it with the correct agency object. So at this point, I'll press F9 to go back to my batch and interrupt back. And now they've changed it to principal payment for subscription-based IT assets. So now I know that my agency object is right. So at this point, I'm going to press F4 and see if it clears my errors or if I have a different error that I need to clear. Now my errors have been cleared and my lookup fields have been brought in. So at this point, I can press F10 and save my transaction. My transaction was successfully written. So at this point, I would press F7 to go to the 520 screen and review my one line of entry. So I can see it right there. And then I would press F6 just to confirm that my batch is balanced. My batch is balanced, so this would be ready for review and release, and it concludes my entry to reduce the SBITA liability.
We have generated the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports to verify the information was recorded properly. The examples used in these videos were created within the acceptance region. Since OBI does not include the acceptance region, we ordered the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports. But under normal circumstances, the DAFR 6610 and 6620 reports within the OBI repository will show the same information. These reports are used by your SARS analyst in conjunction with agency disclosures to evaluate if balances and activities are recorded correctly for proper reporting in the ACFR. Therefore, it's important to review either these DAFR reports or OBI queries regularly and during the year-end closing process. Scrolling through the reports briefly, we can verify the information. In the previous portion of our training, we walked you through recording $118,072.15 of SBITA principal payments made. We see it here on the DAFR 6610 for the government-wide reporting fund, and agency object 7009, which rolls up to comptroller object 7009, representing principal payment on subscription IT assets, which is appropriate. Turning to the DAFR 6620, we see that the SBITA obligation balance in GL 1728 was reduced in Gap Fund 8500. The amortization schedule from the fact pattern portion of this training is now on the right side of the screen. This balance of $1,022,413.42 in R stars agrees to the amortization schedule for the year-end balance. This transaction has been recorded correctly.